How are we doing? This is a long
Good,
time
thank
coming, my friend. How are we?
you. It is a long time coming. Very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing incredibly well. Look, I'd love to get some context for the stream on you and high performance. So let's rock and roll.
Of course, let's do it. Let's get into it.
Tell us, a little bit of background. How did you get into the world of partnerships and podcasting?
The world of partnerships and podcasting, good question. So I have always worked in kind of media and advertising. Worked at a few different places over my time. Worked at Jungle Creations, which is a social publisher. Then went and worked at OMD, which is a global media agency, part of Omnicom, and looked after some of the kind of Mercedes and Macdonald's accounts over there. And then came over to High Performance. We were actually doing a campaign with them through Acast on the Mercedes campaign. And then the team, there was a role open, and I put my hat in the ring because I always wanted to get involved in talent and talent partnerships in that way. And podcasting felt like an exciting space at the time, with being an emerging distribution channel.
It really feels like it's turned into a completely different beast now. It's like everyone's running their own shows. You're running I think it's 4 now. Six now. Jeez Louise.
Yes.
It's a full-on business. It's not just some person in a room talking into a mic anymore.
Oh no, definitely not. I think where there's a lot of kind of, I guess, creators are building businesses for themselves, and they're building brands and they're owning IP, and they're thinking about how, instead of taking kind of one-off kind of opportunities, is actually how do you build long-term sustainable businesses for you and for the people around you. So I think that's where the emergence of podcasting has become effectively a profitable marketing channel in that sense, because actually it's top of funnel awareness, which you can use to drive traffic, leads, or opportunities to kind of subsidiary businesses or revenue streams.
It's really interesting how it feels as if, podcasting has gone from this audio only to this video format, and now it feels like everything's becoming a media company. Do you see that in the way that you do the work over at High Performance?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of really good and really talented people in the space. I think the lure of kind of working with high profile talent attracts good people who work behind the scenes on all of that sort of stuff. So like there's some huge kind of players in the space who've been around for a long period of time, the Acast, the Spotify's, the Adliciouses, but also then now what is also becoming kind of quite apparent is people are able to own their content and own the IP more, and then actually
that's the key unlock, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're investing more into that. So they're investing more into their own teams and their own brands. That actually all of those services still very much support, but actually it's how do you do your own production to the highest quality. I mean, I'm sure everyone's kind of seeing Chris Williamson's 1000th episode that he did with Matthew McConaughey. That's
wow.
Basically,
okay,
yeah.
Just sidebar thoughts on that.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's just the level of production, taking him back to a ranch. And having all of the kind of the LED screens behind him, it's incredible. But that level of kind of detail and production is something that I think creators look at that and they go, "Oh, we can aspire to do that." I mean, the Flight Studio team, even today, I think it is, have launched a Louis Tomlinson episode in cinemas around the world. So it's actually taking what is a online digital format and bringing community to a part of that. So there's so many of the established and kind of the thought leaders who are really kind of like changing the narrative of the industry, which is really great to see.
It feels like there's this shift from we're just going to talk to people on a mic to we're going to tell stories to we're going to almost going to make movies in a weird kind of way, right? There's a narrative that we're having a conversation around, sometimes in accordance with what's in culture and what's in news, and sometimes it's, well, we're going to take this all the way out. A little bit like the Chris Williams episode, where it's like, we're going to take you back in a period of time to a moment in your life that no one else could. I think like that element of playing with that IP, playing with that narrative, is what you guys do well at High Performance as well.
Yeah, and I think look, we're in a really lucky position where Jake Humphrey's an amazing founder. He founded the business at kind of an early time for podcasting as well. So High Performance has been around for nearly 6 years now. Created over kind of 500 plus kind of episodes on Apple and Spotify, and we're an early mover to the video space as well. So built up a really good YouTube subscription within that, and loads of great YouTube subscribers, and kind of got loyal fans there. So that's really where High Performance was founded. What we've then done since is taken that model and applied it to other shows, other talent, other hosts who have their own kind of podcast brands and want to build those. So we're in that kind of early stage of growth on those shows and providing them the kind of the longevity that they need to build audiences like high performances in the long run.
Is the goal to rinse and repeat the playbook that we've used for high performance for these other shows, or is it to sort of make them build their own playbooks?
Yeah, I think every brand we're trying to build their individual brands. So
Right.
every show has its own individual brand and tone. But I think High Performance as a company helps people to live healthier and happier lives.
Oh, it's such a great blanket term that you can put so much behind and really play with
yeah,
it, right?
and I think our thing is we want to create kind of like real trusted content in the space, and we want to enrich people's lives. And there's lots of noise, you know what I mean? There's lots of people trying to do similar things, and I think it's great, but it's also actually okay, how can we direct specific communities to content that they will really like? And I think that's our aim, and we just want to be on the journey to kind of help support that and support the industry and being able to grow even further and actually work collaboratively with other people in the industry to take advertising dollars off traditional forms like TV and reinvest it into podcasting, because if the medium's growing, then we're all growing with it.
How do you look at this format of TV today? You've seen a lot of the narrative around, and a lot of the data showing that we're now not watching traditional TV in the way that we've always consumed it up until about like the rise of Netflix, and now we're actually watching more YouTube just on TVs, and obviously the streaming sites as well. How do you see high performance playing in the space?
Yeah, well, YouTube has now overtaken kind of the streaming platforms in terms of kind of viewership. So YouTube is the most popular, I guess, streaming service out there. Kind of like content and hours watched. So it's very much about playing into where your audiences live and breathe. There's no point trying to force them to go somewhere that they don't want to go. So it's actually working with the platforms and with the algorithmic updates to make sure that you're playing the right kind of content game. And I think there's lines to be able to do that in a respectable and trusted way too. But I think the main merge between TV and podcasting is now viewed almost like as the new form of chat show. And actually 30 to 50% of users watch our shows on smart TVs. So on YouTube, that's where 30 to 50% differs across each show, but that's where it kind of falls from a viewership perspective. So people normally think of YouTube as a laptop product or a phone product. It's actually embedded into all of these smart TVs. So people are using this as an experience to go, actually it's a TV watching habit now. Even if you are watching YouTube, it's a streaming service on there.
They get you hooked. Those 26-second ads or those 32-second ads on the TV really kill me, man. It's like I sit there and I'm like, I really just want to pay for premium right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like you can with YouTube Premium as well. So you can block out AdSense and you can have that level of service. Obviously, you're still entitled as a content creator to kind of bake in
run your own ads.
Run your own ads within that content as well.
How do you think about ads today? I'd love a dialogue right here. With live, right? It's sort of you can't skip live. So when we run an ad, no one can just stop the thing and then move it forward because they have to watch the ad. And I really like that. There's only two places in the world that currently do that. It's sort of like sports or live casts. The Olympics is a great example of that. But how do you think about it? When everything's pre-recorded, how do you really create impact in those ads? How do you think about running ads in the formats that you have?
I think it's for someone who works in partnerships, obviously I spend my life dealing and working with ads, but I think it's more about an ad is still content. So you can either view an ad as a break and an interruption, or you can view it as content within your production. And the more natural and editorial and authentic that is to the rest of your content, and whether that's your brand or the specific episode or how you can tailor the creative kind of output, that's then the dream. Obviously, that comes with challenges, is when you're trying to produce full-on multi-platform shows that exist on not just audio, they exist on video through YouTube, they then live as socials. You can't create content for every platform specifically without mass resource. So it depends on the size of your team, it depends how quickly you're working from a turnaround time, and it depends on the capacity that you've got. But I think it's always about creating the most relatable ad content that you can to the episode, because that also works for the advertisers in the long run as well.
What creates an impactful ad?
What creates an impactful ad? It's when it's authentic to the show. So it's authentic to the show and it's authentic to the host.
Is there a favorite ad that you've made at High Performance where you sit back and go, wow, that was a good one? Like that one actually made an impact.
Yeah, no, I think our ad, our campaign with Heights. Heights are a kind of UK supplement-based brand. They do lots of kind of celebrity kind of partnerships. We're really good. We work really, really closely with them. We started off kind of doing a test campaign with them, but before that, Jake Humphrey had taken the product for 2 years. He had just been a buying customer, and he still buys the product to this day because he believes in the product. So he'd been buying the product, he'd been using the product, and then had become friendly with the CEO. They then obviously then came to kind of a bit of fruition. I was like, this makes sense, let's give it a go. I came on board and we tried a test campaign. We've done a test campaign that has now fledged into a 2-year partnership where we've now worked across 5 out of our 6 kind of shows, and they've seen really positive results from that.
I like the word you use here in partners and not sponsors. What's the nuance in your head?
Yeah, so I think sponsors come and go. Partners, you want to create long-standing kind of relationships to them. I think people, I prefer to use the word partners. I've always worked in partnerships rather than sponsorships, because sponsorships, in my view, is a badging exercise, whereas partnerships is actually you're deeper integrated into the show. So, for example, with Heights, we will give product away to guests who come on the show. So we'll have a kind of a high performance goodie bag, effectively.
Is there a High Performance Heights? Like, is there a special one that you get? It's sort of like dialed up.
There isn't, unfortunately, but I could probably have a word with. I can have a word with Heights about that one though. I'll send them this clip. But there's effectively kind of like that guest gifting opportunity that is kind of deeper integrated into the show and into what we believe in, because we're not going to promote something to the people that come in and out of the doors unless we truly believe in it too.
Have you got a favorite show that you've done?
Episode
out of the 500 that you've done, is there one that stands out continuously to today?
My personal one, I've got a couple. Gordon Ramsay, just from the content of that episode, he speaks in very kind of a direct nature, has lots of very kind of great quotes from that. But then my personal favorite, because I was very heavily involved in it, is the episode that we did with Usain Bolt, where we basically flew out to Orlando and worked very closely with a good partner of ours called IFS, and kind of hosted a live event in front of kind of 3,000 of their customers, partners, and employees, and produced a live podcast for that. It was recorded live. It wasn't distributed live, but it was then distributed kind of 2 weeks later after that too.
Why was the Usain Bolt the one?
I think because of the magnitude of the event that was around it. There was 3,000 people sitting there, highly engaged, listening to him. Jake and Damien live on stage, traveling internationally to create a media product and actually to entertain as well.
The entertainment side is always a fun piece, right? Like when you're sitting there and you're thinking about the questions and the programming and then how the partnerships get integrated, what does that look like for the team? Are you just brainstorming together, or have you got this into a well-oiled machine now?
Yeah, so I mean, the entertainment side of things, there's a behind kind of the team at High Performance, you have a creative department, so you have producers, you have a full suite of editors, you have social content.
You guys pump it out, man. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah. You've got guest bookers, you've got production, you've then got the partnerships team, you've got marketing. It's kind of a fully functioning business, all within itself. So there's a whole pre-production phase that producers, guest team, research will all kind of be tied into to make sure that you get the best content for the episodes. But also you'll have the social content team also inputting, going, actually, no, we need this for our social clips. We need this particular cutaway, actually feeding into the briefs of the episodes so that you make sure that you get the highest video output from that too.
Interesting. That's really cool. And so it's not just, one person here, one person there. It's now a full-on company. There's across the different areas of the
Yeah,
business. There's multiple teams doing the work.
yeah, 100%. We're now a team of we're producing 6 shows. They come, some are always on, some are in and out of season. But at the moment, 6 shows are live and kind of running. We're a team of 26.
Do you keep it super
And
lean?
yeah, it's a small team. With some teams doing, we kind of break down into show teams. Some teams doing multiple shows at one time, but high performance is kind of the flagship within that. And I think we then, as we kind of grow and scale, we can then allocate more resource to individual shows as we kind of build that audience over a period of time.
The monetization of the shows itself, obviously partnerships, you have these partners that pay in some way to be a partner of the show, but add overwhelming amounts of value. Is it the same, like kind of drag and drop for the rest of the shows, or do you think about it slightly differently?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think, look, you have partners who are in our model, kind of helping fund the production, growing their own brands, and actually kind of investing in the host and the brand of the show. Where there's kind of an interesting kind of point of where high performance is at. High performance has grown an audience over time. High performance has a consistent audience that comes back on a weekly basis. These other shows are trying to prove that model at the moment and are building those audience really well over the course of what we've launched 6 within the last kind of 9 months or so. So they're all growing their own independent audiences, which don't need kind of supplementation from high performance, and actually they can have their own shows in their own right. So on our side, it's about getting them to sustainable levels that actually you can cover your costs through a few kind of loyal and trusted kind of partners. And then actually you can then reinvest more into creating a better show, building better production, building better sets. But what we're keen to do is we're keen to do that responsibly, and we're keen to do that responsibly so that actually the creator has the best experience. And what I think is quite unique to us is that they come to us with no kind of upfront risk aside from their time. So our model is all about allowing creators to launch shows and that they want to do without having to significantly invest their cash. They can also do that if they want to get going quicker and they want to get off the ground. But our model allows for advertisers to come in and help grow the show, but also have an opportunity to be a first mover and get a good kind of opportunity for them and their brand if they believe in that for their kind of marketing goals.
Long term, how do you see partnerships evolving?
Partnerships is always going to be very important to any business. I see particularly in the podcasting space, partnerships in podcasting, it should be to a loyal and condensed audience of that show that really align with those products and services. That's where you should get to. I think there's a lot of very astute performance marketers in the podcast space at the moment who will work to a certain CPM and they'll do that model. The BetterHelp have scaled their whole business, not their whole business, but have scaled a lot of their business through, I guess, almost monopolizing a lot of the podcasts kind of out there and sponsoring loads of different shows. There are lots of brands that will do that and they'll work to a very numbers orientated goal. What I think you're starting to find though is a lot of brand advertisers are starting to enter into the space. Brand advertising has different metrics, has different reporting, has different kind of KPIs to those traditional, more early move performance marketers. And I think the partnerships world is going to end up becoming a lot more 360 in podcasting. It already is. I mean, people already do audio, video, but it's actually how do you build out the social brands and the social IP, custom social series that attach to all of these assets to go, no, I'm not just doing an audio product, I'm doing audio, video, social events. I'm utilizing your content across all of our platforms. I've got the host down to do a keynote in front of our top 25 core companies, and almost using it as a sales tool for businesses on their side as well.
When we think about the 360 campaigns, which one out of all of them do you think moves the needle the most from a customer retention, audience retention point of view? Is it the content or is it actually the in-person events?
I think it's a combination of the two. I don't think you could quite, because the in-person events doesn't work without the content,
Mm-hmm.
and the content doesn't work without feeling like you're part of a community. If you feel a million miles away and you don't feel any connection to the host or the brand, the show brand, then actually you're not going to engage, and you're not going to provide kind of any substance, any substantial kind of impact in your life isn't going to then be reciprocated. So I think I'm a big believer in, you've got to do the two together. I think you obviously do less of the events because that drives a scarcity and a demand to make those kind of happen and make them the most impactful when you are there. And actually, if you're doing an event every other week, everyone would kind of just look at you a bit like you're not thinking about the wider strategy with the resource and the capabilities that you have. Whereas if you're doing kind of hero moments and you're really making them deep and integrated, that's the core on my side.
Oh, it's the integration piece that's key here.
Yeah.
Really cool. Look,
It's about how you're involved. It's how you're involving your community. That's the main part. Are you listening to them? Are you taking feedback? Are you working collaboratively with surveyed people that are inputting into not just your content, and they're helping you build the strategy for your content.
And I guess for the app, you sort of are able to communicate with them in a completely different medium as well.
Yeah, and I think the app is something that's a very kind of, it's a slow burn, longer term kind of project. It's almost like the content destination where you own the platform. You don't have to play by other platforms' kind of algorithms. So for a longer term kind of opportunity, you are then able to communicate with your audience how you want to. Look, app development costs are very high, and that's something that I guess we'll look to kind of continually kind of build and add to. I think at the moment what we're really focusing on is how do we make these shows as best they could possibly be, with actually what is a lean team. So there are limitations to that at times, but we're trying to do it we're taking a startup to a scale up, and that's the journey that we're on. So there's a lot of really exciting conversations. I think what I would, I guess, kind of love to say is like the thing about working in this industry is the people that you work with and the people that you meet and the connections you make are far more important than anything that you could ever deliver from a personal perspective. Everyone who comes into the High Performance Studio immediately has a warm reception because of how friendly the people are, and how warm everyone makes the experience, and how grateful we are that they choose to, come on our shows, because they don't have to take time out of their day. Obviously they get a benefit and access to the audience, but actually we're honored that they choose to come to us.
Well, you've built a platform that's allowed for that, right? And it's consistently outputting very, very high quality content to an audience that's absolutely gobbling it up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's the consistency of the audience, which is the key. I mean, High Performance has had it for 5 years, and I think now it's building that through other really respectable and talented kind of individuals. I think like the Spencer Matthews podcast that we launched in January, called Untapped, has really kind of taken off.
You're killing it with these names, man. Like, have you got a name person in the team that just like names these shows?
Yeah, we do. She's absolutely awesome. A lady called Winnie Nelson. She's our chief content officer. Yeah, never met anyone like it. Let's put it that way. She's the best of the best.
Love it. Look, before we let you go and crack on with inking these deals, one of the things we love to ask guests on the show is very much founder oriented. Who's your top 4? Who's your Mount Rushmore of 4 founders? In your case, who is it from the show? We've had Usain, we've had Gordon Ramsay. There's 2 more on the table.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of respect for Jake Humphrey. I obviously biased because he is the founder of High Performance, but I have an awful lot of respect for him. But he's very honest about how he's a founder and not a CEO. And I think that's some really interesting kind of like content angles. I also actually, I think what I've really admired is James Smith recently. He's controversial sometimes, but I think he has really reinvested into his content output. He's done a series of kind of posts about actually how valuable podcasting is to drive leads to all of his relevant kind of businesses, whether that's his coaching platform, whether that's New Tonic. And I actually think he's very open, transparent about why he's doing it and about how much he's investing into it. I think it was in the region of kind of £200,000 that he's spending on 12 podcast episodes, which when you think about it in that vein, from a time, resource and kind of capability perspective, that's how valuable he sees it as a lead generation tool from a content perspective for all of his channels. So he's someone that I kind of really admire in the kind of the content kind of production space, and what they're doing with Newtonic. I'm a really big fan of, because I think that business is going to absolutely fly. And then I think Daniel Priestley, if you've ever kind of heard of him or come across him, every podcast episode that I've ever listened to him on, he provides really tangible insights and takeaways. So those would be my three.
Love it. George, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for the time. Thanks for talking partnerships with us.
Not at all. Thanks so much, Viraj. Cheers for having me on.
Ciao.